thanks a lot for wonderful presentations. We have now a number of questions. Let me start with the first one for Agata and Kevin. How do you consider search in e-commerce is the question. In e-commerce platform, the consumer chooses to search on Amazon or Alibaba, perhaps purchase directly from there and not to use Google. So it's probably a question about some of the limitations of your research. What's your point of view on that?
So when we are looking at search, we are looking at it from a holistic point of view. And depending on where the consumer is and where do they want to interact with our products, that's what we optimize towards. So yes, some consumers are going to e-retail to understand the impact of the e-retail search. Other consumers are going to Google, and we need to consider both of those approaches.
Cool. Thank you. Any addition on that? Maybe this is also a challenge we can consider for the future and how we'll get after this problem, right, on other e-commerce platform. Again, another question for you is about whether in some of the regions, AB regions where you did not consider search, whether sales went down.
Sure. So, yeah, it's a really good question. And it's something that really came up at the start when we were designing the analysis. We don't want measurement to damage sales. We don't want these experiments. So the way we set it up is that we looked across, we had multiple regions, but we avoided the really high population regions. We went for the lower density regions. And this is where the experiment was really set up. And we did counteract some of that drop in investment in search, went into different activities. So overall, it didn't have a negative impact on sales.
Good. I have a question for Jared and for Adam. Your presentations were about change management, I would say, because both Jared, with your application, you were able really to cut through the difficulty of communicating data science team and the client, and on the other side, Adam, with your example and your use case, you were also able to provide tools to the management in order to change things. Typically, there are two different approaches on that. Sometimes it is bottom-up. It comes from a specific project, and let's say the mid-level management thinks about a project and how that project could bring changes into your organization. And sometimes it's the other way around. So instruction comes from the top management, and it's more like executing a mandate which comes from the top. In your experience, and this is probably a question for all of you, in your experience, what way works best, or what way is it more enjoyable as well, from your point of view? Who wants to go for it?
I guess I'd say every organization is different. The thing that I think is really important is that sometimes it might be sort of mid-level, or sometimes it might be top-down, but what often is you're trying to actually answer for something that it may not be the explicit question, right? You have to really listen closely to not what they're asking you to do, but what their goals are. And oftentimes those things actually align pretty well. I mean, the mid-level management sometimes just wants to do exactly, just make the senior level management happy. But, if you're listening very closely and you understand what the business question is, not just what the analytics request is, often those things line up.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I certainly prefer to have that top-down approach, to have the cover and to have it come down from senior leadership. But as the world in which we're operating in and the channels that we work in are getting more and more complex, it's not realistic to expect the leaders to always have the perfect holistic top-down vision. It is inevitable that some of this will come from the bottom up. And so certainly, and these bottom-up strategies, while obvious, sometimes more modest, get immediate traction and can often drive upward. And so really, we have to have both in order to transform the organization.
Very good. Agata, you wanted to add something?
Yes, I think the best approach is when it comes from both sides. So when we have a vision at a top level to showcase that it is important, that digital innovation and strategy is important, and change is the direction that we want to go into. But then the passion of our brand builders, the passion of our teams to come and make it happen is the driving force for the transformation.
Right. Thank you all. It was great to have you on stage. A round of applause, please, for our speakers. Thank you.